Hello everyone, it's nice to meet you. My name is Ivan. I am 24 years old and I am currently in Shenzhen, China. Today I want to talk because I am also a perfectionist and I spent the last 30 minutes thinking about what to say and not recording a single attempt. So at the end of the day, all it takes is taking that first step, hitting record and seeing what happens. So let's see what happens. So I am thinking, or have been thinking a lot about getting active on this YouTube channel. It's a channel I made a little while ago when I was feeling really inspired after a solo trip in China that really had me in tune with myself and feeling courageous and confident and unafraid and with clarity. But those moments of clarity will slip, and it takes decisive action and proactive decisions to make something happen. And it's really hard to. I started up the channel like 9 months ago maybe, and I was intending to get pretty active then, but here we are. But that's alright. There's no perfect time. There's only now. And so essentially, I want to... Some of the core values or the ethos of why I had started my channel back then were a few things. For one, so a bit about me. I am American. I grew up in the US of A. My parents, though, are both Mexican. And I was an English teacher here in China for a year up until August of last year, 2023. Or more like June. But yeah, and that was the decision to go abroad and to teach abroad was honestly one of the best I've ever made in my life. And in general, traveling, I realized, had always been at the core of when I felt most human, most connected, and most in tune with myself and happy, you could say. And so I essentially have always been someone that I guess was not a fan of conflict. I hated conflict and being around conflict. It was always confrontation. It was always something that was difficult for me. And in college, my major was global studies with a concentration in peace and conflict. And so, as cliche as it might sound, I guess I've always had an interest in keeping the peace and creating understanding between people. I think especially because as a son of immigrants growing up in the US, I remember growing up with a lot of perceptions and discriminatory beliefs about Mexicans in the US, and I realized after many years that that was something that affected me deeply and affected the way I saw the world, amongst other negative influences. But essentially, the ethos of what I want to do as of now is to, for one, inspire people. I think the decisions I had made were pretty tough. It's a tough decision to travel abroad and to make sacrifices of not seeing family, not seeing friends, going somewhere where you don't know the language, etc. And I think there's a lot of people who want to travel but are afraid to, but they're willing to. And I think for one, my hope, my trust is that I can help people to, I suppose, be inspired to travel more, but also to see what it's like to travel. And maybe for those who aren't interested in traveling, it will spark an interest to see the world around us, which I think in general will make the world a better place. And for me, traveling has been fundamental in shaping who I am today. And I think it can be a real game changer and just a true fundamental shift in someone's life, as it was for mine. And so I trust that if I share my story, whether it's one person or many, I think there will be someone out there that can resonate and feels a little less lost in the world. And I think we need that. And so I want to make the world a better place. I think traveling is something that is a privilege, definitely. And most people in the world can't do it. And there's a lot of people who want to, but don't know how to or don't have the courage to yet. And there's some people who want to and don't, and become very bitter and resentful of people who do. And at the end of the day, that's okay too. We can only do so much, and that's my intention with this channel. I want to do what I can and share my experiences and focus on the people who will listen and the people who are willing to be inspired, or even just willing to get on the path to being inspired. I think there's a lot of unhappiness in the world, and for a very long time, and still I have lingering feelings of unhappiness, although I think I'm in the right direction, and that's all it really takes. There's a really cool scientist, I suppose you could say, or yeah, let's say scientist, named Arthur Brooks, who I have listened to his podcast recently on a podcast called Diary of a CEO. But he's basically an expert on happiness, and when it comes to happiness, there's a few key ingredients, he says. Enjoyment, satisfaction, and purpose. And I think when it comes to traveling, it can be fairly easy to find enjoyment and find satisfaction. But I feel like what I've realized recently is what's missing for me is the purpose. And I think I realized that the times that I traveled that felt most fulfilling and inspiring and had me feeling most connected were the times that I traveled where I was meeting people and making those connections, and they were really happy to see me and learn about me and why I'm here and to share our cultures or whatever. And in the same way, or in another way, traveling can also become something hedonistic, and almost it's like a pleasure-based thing. If you're just going to see the next greatest thing or eat the greatest food, you're gonna become desensitized, and slowly, bit by bit, you will need and crave more and more. And I realized that that wasn't the path I want to go down. And I love traveling, and I want to travel, and I want to incorporate traveling into my life more. But I want to find a way to do it where I can help people and inspire people. And that's where purpose comes in. And as someone that lived in China for a year, which is a place that is, I suppose, not too traveled, relatively speaking, and a place that in the US has a bad reputation, and there's a lot of perceptions that people have of what China's like that I think are misguided, or just made in an absence of, I guess, experience. And it's not something I blame people for. It's easy to judge, it's easy to accept the norms of what we hear. But that's something that I think is a very destructive thing, and leads to just many of the worst things in this world, having misunderstandings and hatred and things like this in our hearts. And I think at the core of what I want is to make the world a more understanding place. And as of now, my intention is to do that by talking about my experiences in the places that I've been, and also showing the places that I go to or will go to. I think there's only so much you can learn from a video, or that you can feel through your computer screen or your phone screen. And I think ultimately, at the core of what's important to me is not that you believe me or take everything I say as truth, but to merely consider it and, I suppose, make your own judgments and your own understanding of a place. I think almost without fail, anytime that we judge something or hate something, the truth is never what we expect. It is almost always not what we expect, and mostly a lot better than we had first thought. And I think that would be true of most people that would come to see China for the first time, whether they have good perceptions, bad perceptions, or no perceptions at all. And I think I want to apply that not just to China, but any place that I might go. And of course, that's all unknown at the moment, where I'll go, what I'll do, but that's not what matters, I suppose. I think we can only do so much, and it's really just about taking that first step. As long as you know what your next step is, it doesn't matter what lies at the end of the road. You'll worry about it when you get there, and if you start now, you'll get there sooner than you think. So yeah, I think I'll probably talk maybe just like this, I don't know, who knows. But I just wanted to get out of my perfectionist mind and just speak from the heart, and I hope that that's something that resonates with people, and I'll likely do something similar in my videos. But I guess we'll see. You never know. There was a channel I saw that was relatively popular. They had like a good 40K subscribers, which is, I mean, that's something for sure. And I was really fascinated because they had left up all their videos, and the first video was like a year prior or something, and it was kind of her doing what I'm doing now, where she just pressed record and just started talking, and it wasn't perfect, it wasn't polished, it was just starting, and that's what matters. I think I've said that 3 times now. But anyways, that's all I guess I have to say for now, and I hope to share the world with you all and inspire you to see it for yourself, and see what we can learn. And with that, I will leave you all with this really cool rock that I saw on the ground that reminds me of the continent of Africa. Here you go. And then maybe a little pan of my surroundings. That should do, right? Alright. Thanks for listening if you listened, or even if you didn't. Thanks for clicking on this video. Take care, peace.